My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to part 2 of our playthrough, the third campaign on Railway Empire 2, that is Westward Advance, I believe it is. Part 1 we made a fairly solid start, if I do say so myself, with ticking off 2 of our initial 4 objectives, and we're well underway to ticking off the remaining 2 as well. So I've reloaded the game from where I saved it prior to our cab ride into Topeka and back, and we're going to just basically press on from where we left off. Now my plan for this episode is to get some more trains up and running, and I've got a few ideas that'll help us get our objectives ticked off, hopefully a little bit quicker. What I would like to do is to have some corn being brought into Wichita as well, because that'll help hit that 250 freight cars that little bit faster, as well as some grain and potentially some wood as well. Now what I'm planning to do is this will all be shared between the trains going to Topeka and Wichita, and then as we get to this bit here we'll have a junction that merges in somewhere like that, and they will head into Wichita. The grain will do something very similar, somewhere around here. We'll branch in and connect in, so the grain can get into Wichita as well. And the wood, what we would do is we'd have a junction here and then connected in over here, and then that can follow this new line that we're about to build into Wichita, and that will help Wichita grow, which is always a good thing to be wanting to do with your cities, and it's also going to help us get those freight cars in as quickly as possible and achieve our goals as quickly as possible as well. So to save hanging around, what we're going to do first of all is head over to the banking screen and issue the biggest bond we can, 692,000. That gives us 734,000 to play with for this new expansion that we're planning, which should be more than enough. So what we'll do is we'll do, like I said, first of all, something like so. We'll put in our signals, of course, like that. In terms of supply towers, how are we looking? We have one there and one there. I think that will be enough. So to save money putting another supply tower down, we'll just not bother. And instead we'll head over to Thompson's Stop, come into a brand new platform and have them merge in like this. And like we tend to do, or like I tend to do, is we'll have our tracks merged together some distance away from the station platform, and that'll allow us plenty of room to come out of extra platforms later down the line if we need to, without too many complications. What I'd also like to do is just amend this train's orders. First of all, we want to make sure they're only using platform 1, because platform 2 is going to be destined for Wichita, and I'm going to drop that down to a minimum of 3 because the train has been waiting around to be loaded for quite some time. So we'll confirm that. Now we can set up a new line from Thompson's Stop down to Wichita. Wichita station is going to get very busy because we're still only on one platform, but we can rework all of that a little bit later on. For now it's fine. And again, we'll start with just 3, I think, because that seems to prevent our trains from waiting around too long. So we'll do that. We'll rename it. So this is corn into Wichita. And we'll use the Baldwin 10-wheeler. We'll go freight only. That's 72,000 right there. Now what we'll do is we'll do something similar for the grain. So again, we'll put a new junction in here and here. Put in the signals. We had it right first time around. Again, we've got 1, 2 supply towers already, so we don't need to worry about them. And I've just noticed we came into platform number 2 down here initially, so that's a little bit annoying. That was wasted money, but never mind. It just means we've saved money here by not having to pay for an extra platform. And we'll do the same thing where we branch off with a good distance to spare, like that. Put in the signals. And now what we want to do as well is go to our line from West Stop to Topeka, if we can find it. So that's grain to Topeka right here. Edit the rail line. We'll drop it down to 3, set it on platform number 2, like that. And then we'll set up the new rail line from West Stop to Wichita. So this will be grain into Wichita. Same setup here, 3, but this time on platform number 1. Baldwin 10-wheeler, freight only, confirm. So that's that. And lastly, we'll do the same over here from Rice Stop. So that's the lumber. And we'll supply lumber into Wichita as well. So let's get it in prior to the supply tower there. Don't know why it's kinked out like that. That's a little weird. Let's see, what can we get out? There we go, that's better. Maybe straighten that little bit up there as well. No, let's drag the speed down. There we go, 60 miles an hour is going to be fine. So we'll pay for that. We'll... No, it's not going to let us do that, is it? He doesn't like that corner there. Okay. So let's try this again, shall we? And let's instead just delete that. There we go. Let's come like that. Bring it over and bring it in. Hopefully now you'll be happy and we can do this without... Nope, we can't do it without issues, unfortunately. A crossing cannot be built at this position. Right, so let's delete that and let's try this again. So we're wasting a bit of money here doing this, which is a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, there we go. So let's have you do this instead. Maybe it's because it's too close to the corner. Let's have you do... not that. Let's have you do that. Right, are you on the correct tracks? I think you are. You're happy that side. What about over here? Are you happy? Yeah, you are. We get there in the end. Let's set the signals. We probably will give them an extra supply tower down here. Somewhere about there. And then what we want to do is have you come onto a brand new platform yourself. So let's do that. If we can build the track. Maybe if we take you further back. Nope, nope, you didn't. Yeah, the track laying can be very bizarre, I think is an appropriate term in Railway Empire 2. I'm not sure why, but it's not as neat and tidy as I would like it to be, but it's going to do the job. Put in the signals, and we're now got 3 platforms available. I mean, what we could have done, we could have just run this straight down into platform 3 now that I think about it, but what the heck, we've done it now. I'm not messing about with it. So now we can go Rice Stop, minimum of 3, platform 3, thank you, number 3, into Wichita, and this will be lumber to Wichita. Too many spaces there, there we go. Oh, the spaces are in the wrong position, I should say. Like that. So you're ready to go. You're waiting too long, are you? Okay, let's drop you down to a minimum of 3 then. And in fact, let's do the same with the Kansas City run as well. Let's drop it to 3. There we go. Okay, so that's that taken care of. That's lovely. What else can we get into Topeka? I think it was sugar, wasn't it? And we do have sugar nearby over here, just to the west of Dodge City. Whether we can afford to bring that in at this point is a different matter, because we're going to have to pay for a bridge over the river right here. Let's see, could we afford to do it? Well, let's put down our station first of all at Bishop Terminal. And again, we're just going to share a lot of the tracks here where possible to save ourselves a little bit of money. So let's have this come over the bridge. And let's have it come in like that. Now, 212,000, so we can't afford that, unfortunately. Not right now, anyway. But we do have extra trains about to depart our stations, which should bring us in some extra money. So hopefully we're not going to be waiting around too long to be able to afford this expansion down to Bishop Terminal. And then what we'll do again is another junction from here to here, and then they can go into Topeka. Another thing I'd like to do sooner rather than later is make sure every station that we have has a maintenance shed. At the minute, we've seen it many times already. Topeka tends to be a bit of a slowdown because some of our trains are having to be repaired at Topeka because that's their only option. So if we can get extra maintenance buildings down at extra stations, then it's going to help the traffic flow in and around Topeka in theory. Anyway, let's now bring this one to, say, we can't even afford that. Yeah, we're just going to have a single track bridge. That'll save us a little bit of money. And then we'll double track from here to Bishop Terminal. Although I suppose if we're only going to be running one train load, then we could just single track it from the bridge to Bishop Terminal actually. And in fact I think we will do exactly that. So let's put our signals on this new stretch of track here, and then we can plan our junction right here. So something like that. Nice and straightforward, only 11,000, shouldn't take us too long to get that. And we're going to be looking at something similar for the parallel track, so hopefully we'll be in a position to purchase this sooner rather than later, although saying that we have gone into the negative, which is never a good thing, although it's not the end of the world, but obviously you don't want to be negative where you can avoid it. Okay, so that's phase 1 of this new track lane taken care of. What we're looking at here, 14,000 for the second stretch. So again, hopefully just a couple of minutes waiting to get to that sum, and we can then think about getting a train from Bishop Terminal to Topeka, bringing in the sugar. Of course, the train is going to be very costly. Our average train cost is about 70,000 at the moment. So we are some way off being able to afford the train, but like we did with the lumber train into, I believe it was Wichita, into Kansas City it was, we can just opt for a cheaper train and an older model, and then look to replace it later on when we have the money to do so. So Wichita is now in rapid expansion, which is lovely. As is Topeka, mainly thanks to the settler bonus, I'm sure, although the 91% fulfillment of demand is also going to go some way to help in that as well. How are we on our tasks? 1 truckload away for the 12 loads of lumber to Topeka, which is fantastic, and 40 total freight cars away from hitting our second objective that we're still waiting to achieve as well. So still waiting for the 14,000. It's taking a little longer than I would like, but we'll get there in the end. It's no big problem, and in fact there we go right now. Signals, lovely. Right, supply tower, you're gonna I suppose you have 1. We can get away with that for now, potentially, possibly. Research, what do we have? Right, so steam shovel reduces track construction cost by additional 5%. Yes please. Obviously that stacks on top of our existing 30% reduction in track construction costs thanks to our character bonus. So we're now seeing a reduction of 35% when it comes to laying tracks, which is quite a lot. Okay, so where we want to go from Bishop Terminal, we want a minimum of 3. We're going to Topeka. This is sugar to Topeka. We want freight only, locomotive, right, how much do we have? 29,000. Let's go right back to the beginning. Can't get the reindeer. G&M American is 50,000. That looks like the cheapest thus far, and indeed it is. So let's hover on the G&M American, and hopefully we'll get the 20,000 we need pretty soon. In fact, while we're waiting, let's just tell you to go to platform 2 at Topeka so you're not getting in the way of platform 1. Hopefully that will keep things flowing a little bit more smoothly in and around Topeka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Topeka, it could be Topeka. My gut says it's Topeka, so I'm sticking with Topeka. Unless I'm wrong, then I will correct myself. I'd love to open the task list again, but as we know, if you do that, you have to reset up the train line. Oh, well, that could be either or, really, couldn't it? It could be the 250 cars in total, freight cars that is, or of course it could be the lumber into Topeka. Let's have a look which one it is. It was the lumber, and we're only 8 cars away from the magic 250. So the next thing I would like to do is, like I said at the start, is think about putting some, what do you call them, maintenance depots, that's the word. Yeah, some maintenance sheds in some of our other stations. I'd like to put one in Wichita, and I would like to put one in Kansas City. We'll also put one at Bishop Terminal. I think the others have one. Yeah, you've got one. Oh, and that's the final task of our initial 4 ticked off. So we're now 20% of the way through this scenario already. So very pleasing start. Let's see, what do we want to go for next? I think we'll save till we get to the 200. And we have our new tasks. So, make 7 different goods available in Topeka at the same time. We've got 6 out of 7. And deliver 8 loads of fruits into Wichita, which we can't do at the moment because Wichita doesn't demand fruit. I believe the demand kicks in at 40,000 residents. Let's just verify that. 45. So we need to grow Wichita. Luckily it is growing as it stands, so that's fine. We could just leave that to do its thing. And the goods in Topeka, I guess the one we're missing is sugar. Yes, it is. But we have just set up that train, and in fact, it's almost there. It's over halfway towards Topeka now. I would like to put a supply tower down on this line as well at some point in the very near future. They do have one already, so they're not going to run out of supply, but it's not optimally placed. And having to stop here is going to slow down everything else that is using these tracks, which is quite a lot of our services at the moment. So if we can get this train getting its supply on its own private route, then it's the odds of it impacting our other services are obviously going to be reduced quite nicely. So hopefully this sugar will now kick off, tick off that second new task, and yes, it has. So all we need to do now is get 8 loads of fruit into Wichita, which, as we just discussed, we can't really do at the moment because there's no demand for it. That demand should kick in pretty soon if we can encourage this growth to stay at double rate. And as long as we're over 80%, I believe it is, we do have the rapid expansion, the double tick. So we want to keep this above 80 where we possibly can. We could afford that supply tower I was talking about, so we'll pop it over here. There we go. Research, we said we were going to save, didn't we? So we'll not worry about research just yet. Is there anything else we could get into Wichita to kick up the growth? Sugar. Don't need much of it, but we could bring in sugar. And it would be, well, in fact, we wouldn't have to do anything other than perhaps double tracking. Well, we would have to go into a new platform. But we could keep this single track because we're only going to have 2 trains running down here. So if we have to wait a little while, that's not too much of a problem. And the demand for sugar in both cities isn't too high. So the chances are our trains are more likely going to either be at the station or somewhere where they can pass each other over here. So how much would it cost? Well, it's going to cost us 50,000 for the new platform straight off the bat. And let's have it come to about here. So the single track run isn't, well, these are all single track actually, but here they can be running down here side by side. 96,000, so we're gonna have to wait a little while, and then of course we have to wait to afford the train as well. But again, just running one train into Wichita is going to be more than enough because, as we saw, the demand for sugar isn't very high. I think it only needs 0.3 units per week, I think it was. So one train load is going to last them, well, if we set it to 3, then one train load will last them 10 weeks in theory. At least I think that's how it works. I could be wrong, but it would make sense. Now, we do have until the end of December 1870 to get these fruits into Wichita, so we're not doing too badly. We've got plenty of time. And Wichita is still growing. The next thing you are going to need is milk. Now, do we have milk available? We do in the Indian Territory, so we'd have to buy a concession there. I don't think we have any available in the territories we currently have access to. No, we do not. So we would have to buy access here to get milk brought in, just to make sure we get as high a supply fulfillment as possible. The other one was vegetables, which we have very nearby, so that wouldn't be too much of a problem. And at some point, of course, we do want to look at adding extra platforms in at Wichita, because the more we bring in, the more likely it is our train's going to be sat here waiting for one another to get off the platform. Just looking at the research screen here, obviously we're not going to buy anything, but we can't get anything right now. But what would we want to pick up with? Oh, we have 200 now. Ooh, this one looks quite nice. Accelerates the processing of all wagons by 5%. I think yes please on that one. Yeah, that's what we'll go for. Next, I think we might go for... Can we get that? Why? Especially, oh, it just says it's useful for express trains. Okay. Oh, we already have that. Okay. Well, what next? We'll come back and look at that later. We're nearly in a position to afford this train line we've been sat on for about 2 days. And that's, of course, this line from Bishop Terminal to Wichita. Just thinking. Maybe we'll... let's delete that, actually. And let's just have them share this platform. Because there's only one train. And for now, just to get the ball rolling, I think it's going to be alright. So let's do that. Let's have we minimum 3. And this is going to be Sugar to Wichita. G&M American, no, we can get something better than that. What we've been using mainly, it's been the Baldwin 10-wheeler, hasn't it? Freight only. There we go. Okay, so you should now wait at that signal, yes. And you should be being loaded, and you should go with a full load because it's the first one to depart. So that's going to give this demand fulfillment a little boost, give us a nice buffer zone to maintain this double tick action that we currently have going off. As soon as we can afford it, which is going to be about, I think, 60-odd thousand we'll need, is we're going to rework this stretch here from this junction to the station, and we're going to bring it into a second platform and put down some gridiron, and that should allow things to flow a little bit more smoothly, I should say, in our station at Wichita. So that should be enough now, so we'll wait for that train to clear. We have nothing else on the way imminently, so let's just pause it. Let's demolish those two. Bring that into there. You into there. Get some gridiron put down. And I don't know if we're going to be able to squeeze the signal in here. Yes, we are. There we go. So that should just keep things a little bit flowing a little bit more steadily as we approach into Wichita. We now have 2 platforms available for our trains to make use of. What we'll do after that is we'll get a maintenance shed at Wichita as well. So hopefully soon we'll see our trains taking advantage of this gridiron and this second platform. Wichita's demand fulfillment is now just shy of 89%. Oh, we've just ticked over to 89, so that's very good to see. I'm toying with the idea of a line between Wichita and Kansas City because I am acutely aware that Wichita does have a demand for cloth, and we are of course producing that in Kansas City, and that'll have a knock-on effect of increasing the amount of wool that they're needing because they're exporting it to 2 cities, Topeka and Wichita. In fact, are they exporting it to Topeka? Yes, they are. So yeah, a line from there to there that passes through Topeka might not be a bad idea. But for now, let's just get that maintenance shed constructed. Oh no, we can't. It's 74,000. I thought it was 20. I was clearly thinking of the supply tower, which is around about 20-odd thousand. I think it's a bit more than that, but it's there or thereabouts. You've been waiting to be loaded for more than 4 weeks. Are you still set to 4? No, you're at 3. Well, we'll keep it at 3. Any less than that, and I think we're probably entering the territory where our trains are running at a loss. So we'll just have them sit on platform instead. Right, so now we're close to be able to afford that. Yeah, there it is. We'll put a maintenance depot at Wichita. Do you have one there? Yes, you've got one. Thompson Stop, you have one. West Stop, you have one. Rice Stop, you have one. Topeka has one, we know that. Wichita now has one. So I think it is Kansas City, Williams Rest, and Bishop's Terminal that currently do not have them. Dodge City, I guess this is one of those where you can grow it yourself, I think. Something like that. Let's have a look. Ah, yes. We can upgrade it to a city if we provide it with 24 units of lumber, 16 units of corn, and 8 units of meat. I see we're having issues here with our trains waiting a little bit longer than we'd probably like to gain access down here. So what we'll do is we'll run a nice length of double track now. This should be relatively cheap to do, he says as he ticks into 75,000. But at some point we will want to do that, just so at least then our trains can wait a little bit closer to the station. They're not too far away. We've had a small breakdown here. That's not ideal. Luckily it's just before the junction, so it shouldn't impact anything apart from the ones that will come down here, which are the sugar and cattle. And the sugar we've just seen is all the way down here, and the cattle... Oh, you must be the cattle, actually. Research. So, yeah, what do we want next? Let's see. Class 1 to 1. Let's have a look up here. I'm looking for what's going to drop our costs down as much as we can. Maybe some of the costs down here. Extra profits is nice. Running custom, we don't have any maintenance posts, so I don't need to worry about that. Reduces the cost of recruiting in the personal office by additional 5%. Let's get that. I think that's all taken care of in the background anyway, yeah. So that's going to be a passive money saver right there, which is always nice. So yeah, do we want to think about growing Dodge City? Do we have a nearer supply of lumber other than rice stop? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, we have that one there, but we can't unlock New Mexico. Possibly, but it would mean everything down. Well, I suppose it wouldn't be too crowded, would it? Yeah. Anyway, these two cities are still growing nice. 100% fulfillment of demand in Topeka, which is fantastic. And what, 75,000. Okay, so we're nearly at a position where we can afford to double track this bit, because as we can see, they are pretty much sat on top of each other. Well, he's waiting there, and he's going to take him a while to get loaded. So, yeah, let's double track this as soon as we can. In fact, there we... Oh, no, we just dropped it. There we go. And now let's put down our signals, and that'll allow him to push forward and get a little bit closer to the station. It looks like we might see the gridiron in action here. Hopefully you will go onto platform 2. Yes, you will. So that's nice. It saves a bit of waiting around right there. Especially because you were having some maintenance done. Similarly, you should also go straight onto platform 2. Wonderful. So yeah, we are seeing things flow a lot more smoothly in and around Wichita. And it'll allow... So in the time we'd have been waiting, we've now had, what, basically 3 trains come in alongside while he was dropping off and being maintained. So that's worked wonderfully right there. You've been waiting for 4 weeks, have you? Let's edit you then. Drop you down to a minimum of 3, which means you'll set off right now because you have 3. Getting that maintenance depot in Kansas City is certainly something we want to look at doing sooner rather than later as well. I mean, if this train does break down, it's not going to affect anything too drastically because it's on a separate, distinct line that's removed from everything else. However, I'd like them not to break down. Although I think I'd rather, now that I think about it, I'd rather spend the money on a line from Kansas City to Wichita, I think. So why don't we do that? So you'll pass through Topeka. So you might have to wait around a little bit here when things are being loaded and unloaded, but that's fine. So yeah, we'll have to live with that. Yeah, we'll go for the 10-wheeler. How much, in fact, how much is the Inyo? 78,000. I might wait for the Inyo, now that I think about it, for the extra speed it offers us. And in fact, changing out from the 10-wheeler to the Inyo, we're not going to be able to do it right now. It's going to cost us several $100,000, but when we are able to, that would be nice, because it'll get our goods flowing that little bit faster, which is going to help us. There we go, so that's the Kansas City to Wichita line set up. I might do what we did at Wichita, here in Topeka, and delete these tracks. Might not have enough room to do it here. And do the gridiron, or I might just leave it. Yeah, because it's just the servicing that holds everything up with the looks of it. Yeah, we'll think about that one. Do we want to switch over to gridiron or just keep it as is? I think we'll keep it as is for now. It's going to cost us a bit too much money to do it anyway. Research once again. Something that gives us a nice passive reduction. Oh, that would be nice for when we upgrade our trains. It'll increase the residual value we get by 5% when we're selling them. And we're only 1 month away from exceeding 200 innovation points, so I think we'll sit on that, and we will pick up the sales talent research when we tick over into, and this will be January of 1869. So how's Wichita doing? 40,000. Oh, lovely. We're getting very close to being able to bring in the fruit that we need. So I think what we'll do... we need to buy access to Nebraska. 280,000. Okay. Can we cycle our bonds? Because we're not going to be sat around too long. No, we can't. And we can't pay it off. Not even close. Right. That's a little unfortunate. A little frustrating. But it shouldn't be the end of the world. I think we'll manage. Well, given that we're at a bit of a dead point at the moment while we just wait for Wichita to grow and the money to accumulate to unlock access to Nebraska, I think this is where we'll end episode 2. So usual thing, we'll save it here. And what shall we take a ride on? Maybe the Kansas City to Wichita line. We'll go there and back, depending on waiting times in and around this area here, which is quite busy. So I'll save it and we'll hop on board, and we'll get on board just as this train is departing either of the stations, depending where it is at the moment. Okay, so we're on board. We've just left Kansas City on the way to Wichita, and like I said, depending how long it takes, we'll probably do a return journey on this train. So thank you very much for watching this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please consider hitting that like button, because it really does help out immensely. As always, a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support and your generosity is deeply appreciated, so thank you very much indeed. And as always, all that remains for me to say is take very good care of yourselves, enjoy the cab ride. It's ta-ta for now.